Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and when I was 19 years old, I wanted to find out exactly what makes someone rich and what makes someone poor. But at the time, I only knew a lot of middle class people in college, and I only knew one professor that was actually rich, and also my uncle that was actually rich. So I wanted to find out exactly what made these people rich. But then I figured out, hey, my sample size, the people I know, is way too small, so this experiment is not going to work out. But I found a book called The Millionaire Next Door, where they spent years finding millionaires and interviewing them to find out exactly what makes a millionaire, how they behave, how they act, what they drive, where they live, what they work, all those fancy things. And by the way, at the time, I thought a millionaire has a big house, a nice car, has an abundance basically of materialistic items. That's what I thought. Big chains, big teeth, like all that fancy rapper stuff. I thought in some way that was rich, but in reality, it's not. So in this video right here, we're gonna break down exactly why the middle class in some ways are poor, but some are rich, why the lower class are poor, but some are rich, and also why some upper class people are poor, but some are also rich. And that is what we're gonna figure out today. And by the way, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so you should also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And top, I also destroy the like button. Now, the first thing is this, okay, guys? Let's establish what low class, middle class, and also upper class actually are according to US statistics. Now, if you are low class, basically, you make $40,100 and less. If you are middle class, basically, you make $40,100 and more, but less than $120,400. And if you're upper class, obviously, you make more than $120,400. That is basically how it works. However, guys, okay, my definition of rich and poor is not as simple as saying, hey, you're in the middle class or upper class, so you must be rich. No, that's not what it is anymore. What it is now is basically, if you're poor, it means that basically you might rely on one source of income, and the money you actually make is not enough to actually take care of yourself. Or for example, you spend all your money and have no room for investing or saving. And if you lose your job, your entire life is in shambles. However, if you're rich, it means that basically you have more money coming in than you actually use. So for example, you could be rich making 30K a year, but only using 20K and investing 10K. You see what I'm saying there? It doesn't matter how much money you make, it matters how much money you keep, okay? So that's the entire point when it comes to rich and poor, and also what you consider upper class, middle class, and also lower class. Now guys, let's break down exactly what are things that make you poor and how do you actually avoid them. Now, the first thing is this, guys, okay? When it comes to factors, the biggest factors to being poor are basically your lifestyle, the bills you actually have, and the debt payments you actually have, okay? And most importantly, obviously, your income. Your income is obviously very important. But there's also people out there that make a lot of money that are poor. According to my definition, people that make not that much money but are actually rich, because basically they can live off passive income without worrying whatsoever about, hey, I don't have enough money, I lost my job, now I can't survive. And by the way, in the book, the author says basically, hey, the average millionaire has a 9-to-5 job. The average millionaire is first generation, so you don't need to be special, born into money, and you don't need to have a special job whatsoever. Having a 9-to-5 job with that income, you can actually go ahead and become rich. So here are the things you actually want to avoid that you probably will have to get into at some point in your life. For example, education. If you want to increase your income in some way, you will have to pay for education, or for example, go on YouTube and spend your time educating yourself. But most of us are going to go to college. I went to college. The average payment on student loan debt is around $400. Well, more like $398, but we can go ahead and round it up. But the idea is this. When I was in college, I got scholarships. I also had a job, and I graduated around 3 years. And by the way, I made a little bit more than $40,000 in those 3 years in college. Well, maybe like a lot more. And guess what? I still graduated with around 20-something thousand dollars in student loan debt, with around $20,100 something like that in student loan debt. And guess why? Because when I was in college, I grabbed the income I made and I put it towards stupid stuff. Now, the idea is this, guys, okay? If you're going to go to college easily, you can go ahead and get a job making around 15 to 20K every single year and graduate with scholarships and also your income 100% debt free. So when you're in college, don't overspend your money on stupid stuff like clothes, iPhones. Oh my gosh, I need this, I need that. No, just grab your money, pay off your debt, and when you graduate, you don't have that $400 payment at all. On top of that, when you buy a car, the average car payment in the US is around $568. And that's not including parking, not including insurance, not including maintenance. And that's basically if you go ahead and buy a new car for around 30K or 35K and so on and so on. But the point is this, guys, the average millionaire drives a used car. You don't need to go out there and buy a brand new car, something that basically you buy today, buy tomorrow, it loses money, in 5 years it's worth around 50% less. The answer is no. Just buy a used car. And if you say, Tommy, but it'll break or something like that, okay, the answer is cars are built to last. It can last you between 10 to 15 years if you take care of them. So you don't need to go ahead and spend $568 just on car payments, not including insurance and parking, which is put you all the way up to around $750 to $800 every single month just on a car. Also, you want to avoid the housing trap. The average American spends around 37% of their income on housing. The suggested is around 30% to 25%. But also, if you live in San Francisco or California, or for example in New York, guess what? You're gonna be spending a lot more money than that. Maybe 40 to 45% of all your income is going to go towards housing. Usually, you wanna go around 30%. That way you have extra money to go ahead and actually save. And also, there's the expense of, hey, ego, keeping up with the Joneses. Hey, I have a car that works perfectly, but I need a new one. Hey, I have a phone that works perfectly, but hey, I need a new phone. Hey, my friends have this, so I want that also. Now, if you add all these things together, they add up to a ton of money. For example, again, if you make every single year 50K, officially you are middle class. But now let's say you have all of these bills on top of you. What happens with your $50,000 salary? Now, if you divide it by 12, it says that basically you make an average of around $4,166 every single month. Now, because you have all these expenses, let's see what happens here, okay, guys? Now, let's say minus $400 in student loan debt, okay? Minus $750 on car payments and also insurance, maintenance, oil, gas, all that stuff right there. Now, let's minus, for example, also your housing costs. If you spend 37% of your income on housing and you make 50K, in reality, you're spending around $1,541 every single month, okay? That leaves you with around $1,475. Now, let's say you spend around $250 on things you don't need. Miscellaneous. Hey, I want to buy some clothes. Hey, I want to buy this watch. I want to buy this over here. Minus $250. Now, the cool thing is that basically, you're left with $1,225. But the bad thing is that basically, this is not including bills, okay? You have expenses, you have food to worry about, and you also have emergencies. So let's go ahead and take out an extra $1,000 a month. In reality, you're left with around $225, and that's why the middle class are broke. That's why some people don't have any money. And by the way, these are average expenses that most people out there have and will have at some point. Now, you go from having 50K every single year to only having left around $2,708, and that is what you want to avoid at all costs. That's why you want to make sure you graduate debt-free. You want to make sure you don't have crazy car payments. You want to make sure your housing is not that expensive. You want to make sure you don't spend all your money on clothes and looking fancy. And you also want to make sure your bills are low, and you also go ahead and save for emergencies. Now, that's what happens when you're middle class and all your money goes towards bill. Now, by the way, you might say, Tommy, okay, that's great, right? Because if I'm upper class, it means I have a ton of money left over. Well, no, in reality, the more money you make, the higher the expenses actually get. You spend more money on rent, you get a fancier car, maybe you have more student loan debt. The average lawyer has around $146,000 in student loan debt. That is not a joke, that is a real fact, okay? Now, let's say you actually wanted to go ahead and be rich. Let's say you actually wanted to go ahead and be wealthy. What would you do? Well, the first thing is this, guys, okay? In the book, it says that basically the average millionaire invests around 20% of their income. So right off the bat, you're going ahead and you're investing around $10,000 if you make around $50,000 every single year. Now, let's say, for example, you grab 6K and maxed out your Roth IRA, you grab 4K and put it into a taxable account over 30 years at a 10% return. What would happen? Well, in 30 years, your Roth IRA is worth around $1.01 million. In 30 years, your taxable account is up to around $726,000. On top of that, that's not all, okay? Because basically, the average millionaire, around 97% of them actually own their home, okay? They actually have their own home and they actually own it. But most interesting is this, okay, guys? They don't take 30 years to pay off their mortgage. Instead, they take around 10.2 years, and that way they finish early. That way, the biggest expense they have is covered, meaning more money for fun, more money for investing, more money for other things they actually want to do. On top of that, and lastly, not a very popular statement here, but the average millionaire, when they actually did the study, was around 57 years old, meaning it takes time to go ahead and build wealth. You have to be frugal. And also, millionaires go ahead and spend time on financial planning. They spend around an hour to 2 hours every single month, or for example, every single week. Depends on how you want to do it. But the answer is, if you don't have a plan, financial plan, on where you're heading and where you actually want to go, how are you going to get there? It's like trying to find a McDonald's, but you don't have a map and you don't know where you are and you've never been there before. You need to have a financial plan to take you exactly where you want to go. And overall, guys, it's pretty simple. You want to avoid having all your income sucked in, but basically paying it all towards debt, bill payments, and overspending on your money. So if you live, for example, a frugal life, you basically invest your money and try to build some other sources of income, you will be just fine. If you make 50K, instead of going ahead and spending 50K, go ahead and live off of 30K. Or 35K or 40K. Grab that 10K, you invest it. Try to pay your mortgage off early. That way, that massive bill, when it comes to your mortgage, you no longer have it. And the average millionaire, imagine having $1 to $5 million, but you live, for example, in a middle class neighborhood with around 200 to 300K is the average home price, okay? That way, you're not spending that much money. But guys, overall, that's about it for this video. So overall, what I'm saying is this, okay? It doesn't matter if you make a lot of money, a middle amount of money, or an upper amount of money. What matters is basically what you do with the money you actually have. Guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And as always, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this video. And also, like this video if you liked it. On top of that, also, if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And if you want to text me or talk to me, join my Patreon, link down below, or send me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. And before I go, if you actually want to watch a full video on how I budget my money, here's that video right here. And click my face right now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace.